On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend told me I'd never hear, the ringing bells of Santa's sleigh.
There is no Santa.
My friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sound of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw the train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe and tiptoed down the stairs and out the door.
Well, are you coming?
To where?
To the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express.
I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there were no lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed, and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high it seemed that we would scrape the moon, but the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, a great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea.
There is the North Pole.
The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves.
They are gathered in the center of the city. It is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas.
Who receives the first gift?
He will choose one of you.
Look, the elves!
Outside, with hundreds of elves, so crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, something I'd never heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us, pointing to me and said,
Let's have this fellow right here.
He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up and I sat next to Santa. And then he asked,
Now, what would you like for Christmas?
I knew I could have any gift that I imagined. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not in Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was a silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled, and he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood, holding the bell high above him, and called out,
The first gift of Christmas!
The clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed me the bell and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip.
I'm quitting on Chris, I'm quitting on Chris!
His team charged forward into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared into the dark polar sky. On our way back to the Polar Express, the other children asked if they could see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the bell from Santa Claus's sleigh.
Well, maybe we should go back and look for it.
But just then, the train gave a sudden lurch. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left all the children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear it. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sydney and I opened our presents. When it looked like everything had been unwrapped, Sydney found one last small box behind the tree, and it had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell, and there was a note.
I found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C.
I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. What my parents said.
That's too bad.
Yes, it's broken.
When I shook the bell, my parents hadn't heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent to them all. Even Sydney found one Christmas that even she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all those who truly believe.